Frankly, I'm a little bit stressed now, I think. I'm not expecting we have so much people here. I'm Jonathan Lelus. I'm going to explain where I'm from. I'm Director of Engineering Engagement and Release Platform in Manulife. We're managing the DevOps strategy and the community engagement officially tomorrow. This is going to be my title. Today, I'm Canadian Division DevOps Director. And Thibault is my lead on everything. It's about particularly containerization. And we're going to discuss with you about what such beautiful journey is to move DevOps and to integrate DevOps in an insurance company, one of the oldest in Canada. Just talking a little bit about me, I'm from France. That's why I have my good accents when I speak English. And, but also I could give you some advice on wines and something like that, and bread and dog in the street, everything together. And also, I'm a big martial artist. I practice for 25 years now, martial art, kung fu, Thai boxes, kickboxing, and so on. I'm really passionate by that. As you mentioned just before, I'm in open source. I'm a pure open source guy for 15 years. And I've been in different communities. The last one was OpenStack for 5 years. And I'm really an open source guy, and that's one of the reasons I'm here in Manulife. And I moved in Canada 4 or 5 years ago, and I meet some good people with beer, and it's like, I never met those guys here in Canada, but that's really happy. And now, Thibault?
So I'm Thibault Cohen. I come from France too, so I have the same accent from Jonathan. So I'm a soccer defender player. So I love defense and build a pretty good base to defend my team. I've been always working with the open source software. I'm a contributor of different kind of open source software, like some Python libs, monitoring systems, and home automation systems. A few years ago, I started playing with Docker and Kubernetes. So today, I'm a release platform leader at Manulife, and I'm working with Jonathan.
And what we're going to try to achieve with our team is to build a Kubernetes platform at global scale. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Just because it's, obviously, we are Manulife. Manulife, it's a big company. I think for Canadian people, it's obvious. For most of the people worldwide, not. We're managing today 1 trillion asset for the people. We're managing the retirement for more 26 million people in the world. We well know in US as John Hancock Company. And our headquarters is in Canada, in Toronto. But we also in many Asia countries. And that's a big company, one of the oldest in Canada, as you know, and more than 150 years now. And the technology came with that, It's, I'm not saying we have some computer from 100 years ago, but not so far. And yeah, obviously we are Iron Man on this picture. Because we are a financial institution, we're not dealing with security, we're not dealing with process, and we're not going to deal with security and process in the future. We're not Twitter, we're not a startup, we're not a web startup. We have to manage $1 million. We have to have really a security impact. And today, our market is really changing because as you heard the news, today you have AWS, Amazon, would try to go on our market. You have Google would try to go. They are also our client, just to let you know. And this is really challenging. It's really like Hulk. They would like to move everywhere on every market. And today we have to defend our place and see how we're going to manage this new competition, but also how we're going to integrate new technologies to be ready to fight. And today we have a new CEO for 1 year, less than 1 year, and really, I like this important fact. You have to honoring our past and engaging our future. We're not here to bullshit people that have been working for 40 years on IT, explain they did bad things. We're not talking about how we're going to onboard them on new technology and new approach. This is really important. And the 2 objectives we have today, we're talking about so many environments, you don't have any idea. And technology and C++, C Pro, and you could have everything here. And the idea on legacy is really to reducing the run, the cost of the run, and modernize the application and the way we're managing application on the legacy side, like WebSphere, like something like that. And we have also a strategy with the net new. Everything is net new in Manulife is APIs based. We're going to work with microservices. We're going to redevelop everything from scratch. But we still have to manage database for 30 years database. We still have to manage a lot of old things today. And that's the biggest challenge. You have to do both in the same time. You have to modernize and at the same time to move legacy in the same way. And you can't just hold and keep the legacy on their place and just looking forward. And sometimes when we're talking about new technology, I'm so surprised, like bank or another bank, they say, we leveraging container, we're enjoying our journey and so on. Yeah, it's not how our story, you know. We're just a normal company, and our journey are not, on daily basis is not, we're not enjoying everything we're doing, but we have to do, you know. And this is really important. This is the IT reality on most of the biggest companies. I saw here yesterday a King Kong guy, and this is where everyone would like to go. You know, it's cool, it's not new. This is most of the case where we are, and this is where is mainframe, for example. And but on our mountain, we have to deal with those different layers, you know, and that's really important. What's the plan we have on our strategy plan? Today, we have two different technology we try to push internally. On everything, it's microservices. Everything is net new today. We rely on Pivotal Cloud Foundry. We really have a platform as a service available at the global scale when we're going to run microservices, API, and so on. And we use it as an on-demand platform to standardize, particularly the net new. Why Pivotal Cloud Foundry? I think because we have to choose something, and we have to choose a platform, and at some moment, this is the one happen. And this is really how we're dealing today. We say, okay, everything is net new. We have $1 million net new project coming now. And on the other side, when we're talking about DevOps tooling, CI/CD, when we're talking about shared services, when we're talking about legacy apps, our first strategy is containerization and Kubernetes. Okay, and when you would like to manage Kubernetes, and you would like, for example, this is a mandate of my team, building the Kubernetes at global scale to share with all the division. We're talking about 5,000 people in IT in Manulife, and the idea is really to give to thinking about security processes and so on. But everything it's about security, and we're not going to be Equifax, you know. And this is not the plan. And we have to figure it out. And we're working also internally to build a process between both, meaning sometimes you're not going to have choice to dealing with net new, but sometimes net new apps looks like legacy apps, you know? You don't know why. For example, we have a new project on some technology, but they're not really ready to move on microservices. Thibault is going to give you some example of projects we have been working on. Yeah, sorry. DevOps, I think you pretty know what's going on this side. Why we're putting DevOps, because on our side is really the differentiation with continuous delivery or deployment and continuous integration is really important. And where we're going to really working on, today we are waterfall on most of the project. This is really where we try to evolve on the way to run on-demand dev environment for developer, where they could test everything every day, every time. And in parallel, we try to optimize and to have an automated pipeline process to deliver the software with less time we could do. But we still have a hard blocker in financial institution. It's the difference between non-prod and prod. Because as you know, we have a strong sign-off, and the idea today on the different project is always seeing automated a maximum the work of the developer on this side and the QA, and trying to find a way to simplify the production and how you're going to fix production.
So I will give you two examples of some projects about DevOps. So the first one, it's the easy one. It's a net new project, so we don't have any legacy stuff. It's the easy part, because the only issue that we had was the adoption of the DevOps culture by all the developers. So it's kind of easy. So in this project we was able to build anything we need. So we put all the source code in GitLab. We used Jenkins for the pipeline with for the unit test, the SonarQube, Black Ducks, and all other stuff for the security test. We used also Concourse for the CD part, and all the microservices are running in PCF. And we have so for persistent environment in PCF. And so yeah, this project was really easy about DevOps. The second one was more tricky because it's a really old application, 20 years old application, running on Java and another part running on IIX. So it was really difficult. This application was built with Harvest. I don't know if in this room someone knows Harvest? No? Yes? Oh. 1 person? 2 person? So we migrated 30,000 commits from Harvest to Git. We kept all the history of Harvest. So this was really difficult. I think we just built a script and we let the script run during 3 days to migrate all the commits. So this was the main challenge. The second challenge was the learning curve for the developers. So what we done, we tried to build a system which is really similar than Harvest. Than Harvest. So we tried to keep all the concepts from Harvest and push it inside GitLab and Jenkins to reduce the learning curve for the developers and the ops people. So after that, we trained all the developers and the ops guys to use GitLab and Jenkins. And the next steps will be to try to remove all the Harvest concepts to use really the standard DevOps concepts, and also to add some security checks. And the last step will be to add some tools like Doxygen and HyperSQL to get a full map of this application, because nobody knows this application really well. So we need a full map of this application. And just one thing, if you need some, I saw some people knowing Harvest. If you need some input to how to migrate from Harvest to Git, you can talk to me after the
That's
the
a
show.
good knowledge. I think few people have this. And what exactly we try to do is really to automate everything we can. And that's really important, because when we told about today people about culture change, but when you're working with developer, you used to work for 30 years in a way, you know, a waterfall way. They're just waiting, someone ask them to do something, and they're doing most of the time, sometimes some tests, unit tests, and most of the time they finish their job, they push the job to QA, and that's it. And they're waiting sometimes 1 or 2 months to have a feedback from them code. And that's where we are today, and that's the waterfall. And today, this is really important. We create a generic pipeline, CI pipeline with Jenkins particularly, where we integrate everything on the pipeline. When you create a new project on GitLab, automatically you're going to have SonarQube review, you're going to have code review, security check, security scan, you're going to have everything, everything you need. And also what we're working today, because we're using Jira, and Confluence on the project side, it's to create automated the creation of ticket automatically each time you have a fail on the SonarQube code or you have a fail on the security side, just to be sure. Just look at this, it's pretty easy for most of you, but we're working on audits. We have an audit sometime every week in some development. We have audit every month. We have engagement with big contracts. We have clients like Coke, like Pepsi, like Walmart, and they would like to review everything on what we're doing. And today, when we have to track everything, and we have to prove what we're doing. When you say, I check my code to your boss, okay, this is what you're saying, but you have to prove it. And everything we're doing, we have to prove it. And that's why we have to track. And really, the idea to automate security scan, and to have security tasks integrated incrementally in the project. That's the way we would like to implement DevOps, but also it's also to give back to the power to the developers. And this is the big change of the company, and named Agile, in fact. We could say we are the, and that's really what we're trying to do, and that's why you saw on my new title, it's engineering engagement, because the ideas is really, at the end of the day, to create a technical community where developer could contribute to those pipeline, could be a part of the community, not just continue to wait someone ask them to do something. And this is one of the biggest part of the challenge. It's just to changing, and also this is a change of the organization, and some people today, you have a lot of PM, a lot of BA, BSA, you have a lot of people working on IT side, but they're not coding, and you have to rebalance the power for each side to be sure we are focused on coding. And today, our global CIO is an open source guy. He has been working in open source for many years. And today he's really leading the global strategy and using open source standards. When we say open source standard, I've been told about PCF, Pivotal Cloud Foundry is a project, okay? But we're using Cloud Foundry. On Kubernetes, we're gonna use Kubernetes vanilla version of Kubernetes. The idea is really to use standards at least, and to work with community and to try, as we're doing today, and we're expecting to be more on the DevOps community here, to be a part of the community also, and to have a contribution upstream. That's something like pretty easy, in fact, but as I mentioned, we are big. And it's not so easy, even just to validate the fact we could contribute to a community, you know? We have to check that. And also because we have to hire people, and we have a huge objective in the next 1,000 days, we have to hire 2,000 developers worldwide. And this is one of the strategy we have, and the idea we have behind is really to move and beginning a technical leader at the end of the journey in 1,000 days. We don't have one more day. and that's it. Okay. You have time for questions?
We have lots of time for questions. So
Okay.
come on up to the mic on either side. My mic is not on. Hello, there we go. Okay, lots of time for questions, so come up to either of the mics, please. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, quick question. You had open source governance listed on one of your slides there. Just wondering what tooling you use in your CI/CD pipeline to support that, and what other processes you might have that's unique to how you do it.
To manage the open source community itself?
Open source governance, perhaps more around
Yeah,
open source consumption.
I'm French. I like the word, the wording stuff. And when I'm seeing governance on my side, I think, for example, open source governance, it's Black Duck. Mostly people talking on my side, when I'm saying governance, it's the way we're contributing to open source software, the way we're working with community. For example, I've been a part of the last open source leadership summit with Linux Foundation, with Apache. For me, it's not only about verify we're respecting the licensing and so on, is also seeing how we're going to contribute back and working back with community. And today, Black Duck is the tooling we're going to use, but this is not we're going to look at on Kubernetes side, for example, we have maybe another, we'll look at another tools to help us to manage that, you know. But my best scenario at the end of the day is we were so upstream on the way we're managing containers and the way we're managing code. We're going to rely also on the developers, on the contributor we have internally, you know.
Question on my left.
My question is that how much Manulife had to spend or invest on this process of bringing 28 applications into CI/CD pipeline?
For SLX?
Yes. How much they had to invest?
I'm not sure I could talk money. We have a big budget in Manulife on IT in general, but this is more about we have been working 6 months on that, I think. And is inside, because we, by the way, last year we made a big move from our current data center. We moved everything on Azure. And that was a big, big bang. We're talking about 70 applications, 500 environments. And we're managing and we're moving everything to on Azure. And one of the part of this moving was SLX. That's why it was a big part. It was a small piece on a big part. And why we're moving this one on, particularly on GitLab and Jenkins, is because it's going to be the only one on IIX and only one not going to be managed inside Azure. That's why. But we could say it's a 6-month work for a small team together. But we never put a budget on it because it was like mandatory.
Okay.
We have to decommission Harvest anyway. That's why it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it wasn't so much. It's more about people efforts, I think.
Thank you.
More questions, comments? Steve always has a question.
Oh.
Anyone else? Okay, we've got one more question.
Thanks. I'm interested in your CI process. You said you do security scans of the code and also security tasks. It's the tasks part. What do you mean by that, security tasks?
It just we are using SonarQube to get the, I don't remember what we have in this stuff, but we have also the code coverage for the unit test. But so for SonarQube can give us some reports on if we have some potential bugs, black ducks for the open source governance, and Fortify for, I don't remember which security test exactly, but I don't know if you have something else. Sorry?
Yeah, that's the free tooling we're using, and the difference with the task is we scan, and after you have to fix it. And that's why we created tasks and automated tasks, because each time you have a fail, you have to document that and to sign off the fail. You know, if it's a failure in your code, you have to explain. And if you would like to fix it, you say, I'm going to fix it. If you're not going to fix it, because for you that's not worth the cost, you have to justify and sign off this. That's why what we differentiate, maybe if I understand well, what the scan is and the task is on the security side. Task is the evidence of your work, and you have to prove it. When the scan and something is something you're going to apply every day, every week, you know, and you're going to see what happened. But you have to prove it anyway at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Okay, any more? There's one more, I think.
What is Harvest? What data model does it have, and what workflows are baked into its data model that were difficult to get into Git?
Okay, Harvest, it's really old. I don't know when it was created, but it's a really old version. What is the name of the version control system? So we have all the source code in it, and also we used it to deploy on IIX. And so it was like a Windows server that we have always the finger crossed to keep it up. So we remove it, and we wanted to move it to Git. So we extract all the commits, because in Harvest you don't have, if you use Harvest, you cannot have all the projects on your laptop. You have to check out only one file by one file, so it's really ugly. So we did that, and we migrate to GitLab, and we use Jenkins to reproduce the same behavior about the deployment. So there is some concept of packages and so on. So we try to reproduce this concept to keep the developers and the ops on the same with the same job, and then we will just move the concepts with the same tool. So we just change the tool, then we will change the concept.
Another question? You ask 3 questions, we answer all of them.
Okay. All right. Thanks, gents. Well done.
Thank you.